The story begins when Hayato receives news of the death of his grandmother Sachiko and returns to his hometown, where he is surprised to see 5 beautiful girls living in his house. Embarrassingly, Hayato accidentally sees their intimate parts, causing the girls to mistake him for a perverted thief. Hayato hurriedly explains that he is Sachiko's grandson and questions their origins. After the conversation, Hayato learns that the girls are part-time employees hired by Sachiko for the cafe. Since they had nowhere to go, the kind grandma allowed them to stay in the spare rooms in this house, and in exchange the girls treat Sachiko as their grandmother, even managing this funeral. However, as the real grandson of Sachiko, he hasn't been back for 3 years after an argument. The accusation of the girls makes him guilty, but anyway, he has planned to make this house a parking lot and wants them to leave as soon as possible. In order not to lose their home, the girls decide to set a honey trap on Hayato. Ouka is the first girl to try. She deliberately dresses up as a maid and prepares fried chicken for Hayato. But her cooking skills are so bad that she gets ridiculed by Hayato. The next girl is named Amy. She dresses up very sexy and invites Hayato to go for a night run with her. However, Hayato dislikes her outfit and rejects her outright. After 2 failures in a row, the girls decide to relax his vigilance first. Hayato bathes very safely, and after that he meets a girl, Akane, smoking in the cafe. Akane is a freelancer and she writes songs every night here. Hayato reminds her not to smoke, which makes Akane feel he's not as annoying as he seems. While Hayato is getting ready to sleep, another girl, Shiragiku, appears. She seems to be drunk and gets very lustful, breaking into Hayato's room and trying to make out with him.
It should have been me, not him! It's not fair!
It's the first time Hayato has got up close and personal with a girl. He feels very shy. During this time, a girl named Riho hides in the doorway, trying to take photos of them as threats. Just then, Amy mistakenly thinks that Hayato wants to force Shiragiku to have further intimacy. She doesn't want Shiragiku to sacrifice so much and hurriedly stops them. As the girls' plans failed one after another, Hayato has brought in professionals to demolish the house. This is a large house, partly for the cafe and the rest for living. When the cafe sign is taken off, Hayato suddenly thinks of what Sachiko had said to him. The name of the cafe is Familia, which means family in Spanish, and the guests who come to the cafe are all their families. Hayato is touched and decides to leave the sign in honor of Sachiko. Akane notices the change and Hayato hurriedly asking Ouka to prepare fried rice for him. This is the dish that Sachiko taught Ouka, and Akane wants to remind Hayato of Sachiko's love for him. It works pretty well. While eating the fried rice, Hayato recalls a past related to the cafe. After the unexpected death of his parents, Sachiko borrowed money to open the cafe in order to raise Hayato. From an early age, Hayato vowed to give Sachiko a better life. He studied hard and was successfully admitted to the University of Tokyo, Japan's #1. Unfortunately, before he could make enough money, Sachiko passed away. After eating, Hayato learns through a conversation with Ouka that Sachiko has passed away peacefully with them. Hearing this, Hayato again recalls a lot of memories about the cafe. In the end, he decides to take a year off from school and reopen the cafe. Therefore, the cohabitation of Hayato and the beautiful girls has officially begun, which is not so enjoyable for him at first, because in addition to being banned to hang his clothes close to the girls' underwear, he is often interrupted while taking a shower. The only moment that makes Hayato happy is when they eat together. This is Sachiko's agreement with the girls. Whatever unpleasant happens, they should always gather together when having meals. Before the cafe officially opens, Hayato organizes a drill. Shiragiku plays the clerk, Hayato makes the coffee, and the others act as customers. Hayato is confident in himself, but the coffee he makes is actually not good. Akane is the best coffee maker among them because it was Sachiko who taught her to make coffee. After tasting the coffee made by Akane, Hayato decides to learn coffee making techniques from her. After that, Hayato and Riho announce the cafe's reopening to their neighbors. Thinking that Hayato's attitude is not sincere enough, Riho offers to help communicate with the neighbors. With her help, neighbors all express their willingness to try their coffee. But during the process, Hayato's arrogant attitude angered Riho, who then warns him to be nice and patient to their customers, otherwise the cafe will never be accepted. Hayato realizes his mistake and decides to communicate with his neighbors again. In the process of getting along with the girls, Hayato encounters a very troublesome problem. Ouka loves to do laundry, while Hayato's habit of putting socks and clothes together to wash causes Ouka's displeasure, and they often quarrel about it. Riho doesn't want the customers to see them quarrel all the time when the cafe is officially open, so she tries to persuade Hayato to make a compromise. Hayato doesn't want to give the customers a bad impression either, thus deciding to reconcile with Ouka by complimenting her. However, when Ouka notices Hayato's weird expression, she mistakes him for mocking her and gets even angrier. Hayato is so troubled and has no idea about how to ease the tense relationship. Not until one night when Hayato stumbles upon Ouka trying on a cafe uniform and praises the maid outfit bluntly with the same weird expression, but Ouka unexpectedly becomes very happy. It turns out that she is a fashion design student and this maid outfit is her work. She has heard from Sachiko that Hayato was a man who never lied, so she is delighted to learn that Hayato recognizes her design. The day before the cafe's opening, Hayato pays the girls the previous month's salary in place of Sachiko. The money comes from the profits he made from stocks that he has held since high school. Receiving their salaries, the girls are all grateful to him. While Hayato is trying to practice making coffee, his phone and computer suffer an accident. Amy loves sports. While serving tea and holding dumbbells at the same time, she accidentally smashes Hayato's cell phone and computer. To make matters worse, the company that Hayato bought his stocks from is about to go bankrupt, and he misses the stock sell-off because of the computer failure. In the end, Hayato loses all his revolving fund and can only pin his hopes of making money on the cafe. Finally, it's the opening day, and both the uniforms and the taste of the coffee are well received. Hayato is determined to run the cafe well, so when the former creditor comes to mock him, he still tries to endure it. But he can't stand the man harassing the girls, thus throwing him out. This justice behavior gains him the favor of all the girls. Running a cafe well is not easy. After the opening days, there are fewer and fewer customers coming over. In order to increase the turnover, Hayato decides to participate in the Sakura Festival by setting up a stall on weekends. Considering that there will be many vendors in the festival, they must develop new products to attract people. Shiragiku is the best chef of all, and she tries to make a liquor-flavored cookies. Although there isn't much alcohol in the cookies, she still gets drunk while tasting it. Fascinated by the smell of Hayato, Shiragiku hugs him tightly, wanting to have more intimate contact with him. Luckily, Riho notices Shiragiku's condition and hurriedly stops her. Because of this accident, Hayato's new recipe is at an impasse. To help Hayato, Akane brings out the cookie recipe she and Sachiko developed. On weekends, Hayato takes Amy and Ouka to the Sakura Festival where they encounter 3 gangsters trying to harass Ouka. Fortunately, the vendors around are all friends of Sachiko, and they help with the siege, driving the gangsters away. But the crisis is not yet over. The gangsters felt very humiliated and secretly come back to smash their stalls. Hayato doesn't want to bow to the gangsters, coming up with another idea. He collaborates with Ouka to transform a food cart and then asks Riho to post on social platforms that they would be selling coffee in a mobile cart. Also, he takes into account the issue of inventory. So when the coffee beans and cookies in the cart run out, Amy, who is good at sports, is arranged to run errands in the cafe. In the end, with Hayato's program, they achieved a high turnover. On the way home, they meet the 3 gangsters again. Hayato knows the law very well, and it's best for them not to initiate an attack. So he deliberately shows weakness and lets the gangsters punch him, and then he asks Amy to teach the gangsters a hard lesson, which is considered a legitimate defense. Also, to prevent the gangsters from continuing to harass them, Hayato records the whole process with his mobile phone. Ouka is amazed by Hayato's thorough plan, and when he says he just doesn't want those gangsters to smash the coffee cart she made, she feels touched. Their promotion on the Sakura Festival helps the cafe business grow steadily. Riho is very concerned about it, and even if she has to go to school, she will come back early to keep an eye on the cafe. That night, Hayato discovers that Riho is staying up late, researching the cafe's marketing plan. He is curious why she is trying so hard, getting to know that Riho is grateful to Sachiko for helping her, and she wants to protect the cafe for Sachiko. Hayato asks Riho not to hurry, and her health is the most important thing. As the manager of the cafe, he will be responsible for promoting it and taking care of the staff. He wants her to spend more time and energy on what she likes rather than just on the cafe. Riho is very impressed by his words. She thinks Hayato is much more reliable than before and decides to try to rely on him. The following story is about Akane, who loves music. She is a band's guitarist and lead singer, so on her days off she'll be participating in different performances. Strangely, Akane has been hiding her band's name to keep her friends in the cafe from showing up in the performances. The girls are very curious about her work, and Riho even speculates that she may be doing something improper. While Hayato is buying ingredients in the city, he overhears passers-by talking about a lead singer of a band named Akane. Their conversation makes Hayato curious, and he decides to see if it is Akane. When he arrives at the scene, he really finds Akane singing on the stage, immersing himself in her music. After the show, Hayato calls out Akane, who feels shocked and ashamed. She asks Hayato to keep it a secret as she is not ready to tell others about it before she gets famous. Hayato respects Akane's ideas and grants her request. He also reveals his admiration for her music talent and promises to keep the cafe open until she can make a living from music. After spending these days together, the girls all develop a good impression of Hayato. But since Hayato has only applied for leaving school for a year, they can't help but start worrying about what life would be like a year later. When Akane suggests that she wants to marry Hayato, everyone is taken aback. Although she then explains that she was joking, they feel very wary. One day, Riho overhears Hayato and Shiragiku talking about something obscene, causing her to mistake them for having some intimate interaction. Not until she opens the door does she find out that Shiragiku is just teaching Hayato to make sandwiches. To get Hayato's attention, Riho decides to join them. During the process, she and Shiragiku have a disagreement. She wants to make an up-to-date sandwich, but Shiragiku insists on the recipe Sachiko left. Then they ask Hayato to be the judge and pick the best sandwich. But Hayato has eaten a lot of his own failed sandwiches, unable to eat more. In the end, they taste each other's sandwiches, finding it actually delicious. Later, Ouka notices that Ami has been unenergetic lately, asking Hayato to pay more attention to her condition. After observation, Hayato also thinks Ami is indeed not as active as usual. He asks Akane about it, learning that Ami was defeated by her opponent in a karate practice match. He then enlists Ami for a conversation in the hope that she will cheer up. He can tell she is in a very low mood. For the first time, she says she realizes that her abilities are limited. Hearing this, Hayato reminds Ami not to cling to a fixed move. She is strong and talented. If she can use her skills flexibly, she will definitely be stronger than she is now. With Hayato's encouragement, Ami regains her fighting spirit, excitedly showing off her new move only to smash Hayato's new laptop. Hayato is so angry that he punishes Ami severely. Thankfully, the cafe has reached its peak again, so Hayato doesn't have to worry about money for the time being. Because the cafe is short of hands, he wants to enlist Riho and Ouka for help. However, when he goes to find them, they are changing clothes in the room. This is very exciting for Hayato, who stares at them for a long time. Sensing his sight, Ouka gets so shy that she hurriedly throws him out. Little does Hayato know that they are actually preparing a surprise party for him. In order not for Hayato to find out, they can only pretend that they are changing clothes. When the cafe is closed at night, the girls celebrate for Hayato being the manager for 2 months and thank him for providing them with accommodation. Hayato is touched and impressed. Although he lost all his family from this moment on, he feels that he has a new family. At the climax of the party, Akane receives a call from her mother. For some reason, she suddenly becomes sad. On this day, the girls in the cafe notice that Akane has changed a lot. She used to be distant from them, but now she has become much gentler. The girls all think it's because Akane has taken them for family, while Hayato is the only one who figures out the truth. He remembers the phone call Akane has received, which is presumably related to her family. After talking to Akane, Hayato learns that she is going to quit her job at the cafe and give up her music dream. Akane thanks Hayato for taking care of her and jokingly asks if he wants to touch her body. Hayato refuses Akane's request while just asking her to go on a date with him if she wants to show her gratitude. On the day of the date, Hayato takes Akane to a cafe where he talks about her resignation. This is not a real date because Akane hasn't told the other girls about her leaving. Hayato decided to have the talk outside. After returning home, Akane makes one last cup of coffee for Hayato. She loves the cafe where she created many unforgettable memories. The only regret is that she has to give up her music career. Hayato respects Akane's privacy and does not ask about her family affairs. Unexpectedly, Akane takes the initiative to reveal why she is leaving. She is from an influential family which has been involved in the business of various areas for over 200 years, and she is the only heiress in the family. Her parents hope she will inherit the family business, get married, and have children. A year ago, Akane asked her family to give her a year to do what she wanted. Now that the deadline came, her mother called to urge her to get home as soon as possible. Akane pretends not to care, falsely claiming that this is her mission and that she is willing to accept the family's arrangement to marry someone she does not know. Hayato debunks Akane's lie. The coffee she made is very unpalatable, and he knows she must be in a mood as bitter as the coffee. At this moment, others overhear their conversation, asking Akane not to leave. Touched by it, Akane can't help but pour out her heart. She indeed doesn't want to leave here, but she just can't resist her family's arrangement, and she hopes that Hayato can help her. Hayato accedes to Akane's request and accompanies her to meet her mother. Akane expresses to her mother her desire to continue her music career. But after being vetoed by her mother, she doesn't dare to say more. Akane grew up under her mother's strict instructions and has been in awe of her. Seeing Akane's silence, Hayato can't help blaming her. He thinks that if Akane doesn't even have the courage to contradict her mother, she should simply go home and get married. Spurred on by Hayato, Akane decides to try to convince her mother. She carefully prepares a cup of coffee for her mom, wanting to prove that she wasn't wasting time this year. Akane's mother tastes the coffee, ponders for a while, and tells Akane that she was a diplomat when she was young, and she fulfilled her value and gained joy at work, so she didn't want to inherit the family business. Akane's situation is different from hers. In her eyes, Akane had no target in life. Instead of letting her waste time outside, forcing her into the family's company should be a better choice. It wasn't until she tasted Akane's coffee did she realize that her daughter wasn't wasting her time. In the end, she gives up her plan to take Akane home, allowing Akane to live a life as she wishes. It is worth mentioning that Akane's mother has a lot of experience. She sees Akane's feelings for Hayato and reminds her not to lose to the other 4 girls. After June, Hayato hands out paychecks on time and announces a decision. To earn more money during the summer, he signs up for an Open festival. The entry fee cost 4 months of their turnover, so they must redouble their efforts to prepare for it. Ouka proposes to create a gimmick of swimsuit beauties to attract customers. She then puts on a swimsuit she designed, asking Hayato what he thinks of it. Riho is very much in favor of Ouka's proposal, and she also changes into a very sexy swimsuit. Eventually, Hayato takes Ouka's offer and praises their figures. As the festival begins, Hayato opens a beach hut by the sea. Beautiful girls serve customers in swimsuits, which brings them great popularity on the first day. However, things don't go so smoothly. Due to the hot weather and too much work in the cafe, Riho becomes very irritable. When she sees Hayato and Akane chatting at the bar, she mistakenly thinks they are being slack. Furious, Riho walks up to the bar and rebukes them fiercely. Unexpectedly, she then faints because of heat stroke. While in a coma, Riho dreams of a memory of her childhood. She mistakes Hayato for the one who had abandoned her and hugs him tightly. Not until she wakes up from her coma does she let him go. Hayato is very worried about her. He asks her to have a good rest at home and put the work aside for the time being. Hearing this, Riho grabs Hayato and apologizes to him. She then claims to have had a nightmare, hoping Hayato can stay with her. Riho gets a good night's sleep and quickly recovers. She wants to thank Hayato only to find him chatting with 3 beautiful customers. Riho has a crush on Hayato, so she immediately gets jealous and goes to drive the girls back to their seat. As the cafe becomes more and more popular, a lot of customers would try to talk with the waitresses. Right now, 3 male customers are taking advantage of Riho, which is seen by Ami, and she hurriedly reports the incident to Hayato. Hayato discovers that these are the same gangsters they met at the Sakura festival. To rescue Riho, Ami deliberately puts on a skeleton mask to warn them not to harass waitresses here at will. The gangsters recognize Ami based on her hairstyle. They are so frightened that they immediately flee from the cafe. Another day, some reporters come to the cafe to film the footage for producing a special of the Open festival. Surprisingly, one of the reporters recognizes Riho, who turns out to be a talented and popular child star 15 years ago, and the reporter once filmed a TV show with her. When the customers hear their conversation, they are surprised that Riho would be working as a waitress in a cafe. Riho can't stand the chatter about her leaving the cafe in a hurry. When she was a child, Riho had been working hard to participate in filming TV shows in order to get her mother's approval. But her dad worried about Riho's health condition and disapproved of her excessive working schedule. As Riho decided to gradually withdraw from the entertainment industry, her parents divorced. This made Riho feel that her efforts were pointless. Until now, she can't let go of this past. Hayato finds Riho by the sea, where he tells her that her experiences as a child star have trained her social skills well. He admires Riho and appreciates her hard work and dedication. Also, he reminds her not to pretend to be tough all the time. Riho feels so touched that she hugs Hayato and cries. As the Open festival ends, they come back home. One day, Ouka's twin sister Kika arrives at the cafe. She looks down on this cafe, and the girls working here seem to be frivolous, so Ouka should not live with them. Of course, the most intolerable for her is the manager Hayato. He seems very good at flirting with girls, and she guesses that someone must have fallen into his trap. Ouka thinks Kika is very rude and warns her not to offend her friends at will. Unexpectedly, Kika's attitude is extremely arrogant. She claims to come from a famous family, and since her grandfather's generation, her family has been students at the University of Tokyo. People from the bottom of society like Hayato cannot be compared to her. These words make Ouka very upset, and she slaps Kika hard. Angered by it, Kika walks off without a word. Ouka apologizes to everyone in place of Kika. Just then Ami can't help but complain that Ouka's sister is a little scary. Although Ami apologizes to Ouka soon after, Ouka feels a little sad. In fact, she has always been very sorry for Kika. She wasn't admitted to the University of Tokyo and then majored in art, which made her family disappointed in her. Therefore, the family pin their hopes on Kika and impose extremely strict discipline on her, which Ouka thinks is probably the reason why Kika becomes so mean. She can't tolerate seeing her sister Ouka living a life so willfully. Later, Ouka still concerns about Kika even at work, resulting in her breaking a cup. Shiragiku mistakes Ouka for minding what Ami says, explaining that Ami has no ill intentions. Just then, Kika comes to the door of the cafe and overhears their conversation. Nobody notices her except for Hayato. As he wonders why she would be here, Kika leaves in a hurry. It turns out that she mistakenly thinks that Ami was bullying Ouka, intending to go find her. However, before she encounters Ami face to face, she overhears Ami talking about apologizing to Ouka, which makes her realize that they are all very cute girls, and she decides not to make troubles for them. At night, Hayato tells Ouka about Kika's visit, and he speculates that she was here to reconcile with Ouka. But Ouka thinks she is a very incompetent older sister, and Kika is unlikely to come to her. Hayato sees the exact opposite of her. Based on Kika's performance yesterday, he thinks she was just worried about her sister coming into contact with bad people. He suggests that they meet up and speak out their true thoughts. Unexpectedly, as Ouka is ready to go to Kika, Kika takes the initiative to come to the cafe. During the talk, Kika voices her dissatisfaction with Ouka. She stresses that she will not let others determine her life, and it is her dream to be admitted to the University of Tokyo, which has nothing to do with Ouka. What angers her is Ouka's humbleness at home. Also, after Kika was admitted to the University of Tokyo, Ouka left home to work in this cafe, which confused Kika a lot. She came here because she and their parents are worried about Ouka. The twins' preferences are similar, and Kika can easily tell that the cafe was designed by Ouka. Unfortunately, Ouka never designed any clothes for her. Ouka hurriedly claims that she cares about her sister a lot, and that she will definitely design a lot of cute clothes for her. After the misunderstanding is resolved, Ouka offers Kika the pumpkin cake sold in the cafe. Then Kika praises Hayato's carefulness. When the girls all mistake her for Ouka, only Hayato sees at a glance that she is not Ouka and asks for her true identity. Ouka is curious how he tells the difference, and Hayato explains that Kika carried the bag on her left while Ouka usually holds it in her right hand. Plus, Ouka is the most loving person in the cafe, and he believes that she won't hurt others. Hearing the praise, Ouka blushes a little. Summer comes to an end as well as their beach hut. Seeing the turnover getting less and less, Hayato realizes that running a cafe is very difficult. When he is tired from business problems, Akane brings him a cup of coffee. There are a lot of books in Hayato's room, while Akane is attracted by the complete works of Kinosuke Natsumi on the bookshelf, and a confession plan arises. During the days she spent with Hayato, Akane's feelings for him grow deeper. She wants to know who Hayato likes, but he insists that he is not interested in romance. In order to gain Hayato's favor, Akane deliberately shows off her sexy body and confesses to him by quoting Kinosuke Natsumi's poems. "Stars are beautiful tonight, will tomorrow be sunny?" It actually means, "I like you, can you respond to me?" Hayato gets Akane's hint but rejects her clearly. Bruh. He just wants to run the cafe left by his grandmother, having no time to worry about romance issues. Akane doesn't want to be rejected like this, lying that she was just talking about the weather and he is overthinking. Besides Akane, other girls in the cafe also love Hayato. The beautiful girls are very shy, and so far only Akane and Ami have admitted their feelings for Hayato. Akane, thinking that Riho also likes Hayato, asks her about it while taking a bath. Surprisingly, Riho claims that she never thinks about romance and just wants to help Hayato run the cafe. Akane doesn't force her to tell the truth, but takes the opportunity to express her love for Hayato and emphasizes that she has confessed to him. Riho is hit hard by Akane's words. She can cheat on Akane, but she can't go against her heart. While out shopping with Hayato, Riho plucks up the courage to confess to him. Hayato's answer is consistent, and he won't fall in love with anyone until the cafe is on track. Riho has the same idea, so she is very happy with the answer. She says goodnight to Hayato and flees home in a hurry. Hayato receives 2 confessions from girls in a row, which makes him feel burdened. One day, Hayato overhears 2 passers-by discussing the cafe. He feels guilty when he hears that the waitresses are fighting over a certain man. Since both Akane and Riho have confessed their feelings to Hayato, he concludes that they are arguing over and hurries back to the cafe. It turns out Akane and Riho are indeed fighting, but the reason is that Akane somewhat minds Riho tricking her, telling her not to always hide her true thoughts. By the time Hayato returns, they have reached an agreement of fair competition for Hayato's love, and they are very harmonious now. Ami watched the whole process, explaining to Hayato that it's just a game to see who can get his heart first. Unexpectedly, Hayato mistakenly thinks that they are teasing him by confession, which makes him feel very devastated. Akane, believing that Hayato will soon discover their minds, does not tell the truth. Hayato doesn't know what the girls really think. Anyway, what he cares more is how to increase the cafe's turnover, and he decides to develop an amazing new dish. The best chef in the cafe is Shiragiku. But a new semester will start soon, and Hayato thinks she'll leave the cafe one day. So he wants to develop the new dish with her before she leaves. During the process, he also intends to improve his cooking skills. However, when Shiragiku learns of his thoughts, she is unhappy and emphasizes that she'll never leave the cafe. It turns out that Shiragiku has long been in love with Hayato. Unfortunately, she recently discovers that both Akane and Riho like him, and she is not the confident type, instantly feeling inferior to her love rivals. But when she is with Hayato, she still can't help but be attracted to him. Eventually, Shiragiku plucks up the courage to tell Hayato that she is the first to like him. Just when Hayato is surprised by her confession, she suddenly offers to have an intimate interaction with him. Hayato soon notices the alcohol wipes on the table, realizing that she is under the influence of alcohol, which confuses him so much as he doesn't know if her words were serious. After Shiragiku sobers up, she goes out with Hayato for groceries. During then, Hayato accidentally learns from the shopkeepers that Sachiko is a 3-star chef certified by Michelin. Strangely, Shiragiku doesn't seem to want Hayato to know about it and forcibly takes him away. But Hayato is very obsessed with knowing the truth. Under his questioning, Shiragiku has to reveal her story. Shiragiku's father was Sachiko's apprentice, and they worked together in a restaurant in Spain. One day, she came to the cafe to visit Sachiko with her father, where she happened to meet Hayato. At that time, Sachiko prepared 2 ice creams for Shiragiku and Hayato to enjoy together, while Shiragiku fell when looking for Hayato, bumping into a grumpy man. The ice cream consequently stained the man's leather shoes, and he threw a tantrum at Shiragiku. Just then, Hayato showed up taking a water pipe and deliberately spraying water on the man. Shiragiku thanked Hayato, who however claimed that it had nothing to do with her. Because the man was mean to Sachiko, Hayato hated him a lot. Shiragiku has been interested in cooking, and when she grew up, she came to the cafe again, hoping to have Sachiko her master. Sachiko promised Shiragiku on the condition that Shiragiku would not reveal to Hayato why she gave up being a chef. After the conversation, Hayato looks up Sachiko's profile online. In his opinion, Sachiko was so good at cooking that she could open a restaurant in Tokyo. She gave up being a chef because he got in her way. Shiragiku doesn't want to see Hayato being sad, and she tells Hayato that she has heard Sachiko say that she had never regretted giving up her chef career, and she was glad to witness Hayato's growth. During the 12 years she spent with him, she was very happy every day. Hayato recalls his past with his grandmother and feels very guilty. He then vows he will never let the cafe close down. Shiragiku also promises Hayato that she will fully support him. The other girls have been eavesdropping on their conversation, and they are very touched by the story of Hayato and Sachiko. At the end of the story, Hayato and the girls go to the park for a picnic. Shiragiku confesses her love for Hayato in front of everyone. Overly nervous, she accidentally drinks Riho's wine and immediately gets drunk, pouncing on Hayato again. To stop them from having close contact, the other girls hurriedly interrupt her. Interestingly, Hayato will become a real couple with one of the girls in the future and give birth to a very cute girl. But the screenwriter hasn't revealed to us who Hayato's wife will be, and we can only wait till the next season is released. The Café Terrace and its goddesses, and the quintessential quintuplets, so their plots are quite similar. So don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to my channel. I will bring more exciting anime in the future. Thanks for watching. Bye.